Hey guys, hello everybody. This is Bala here. Welcome to yet another episode of Podcast with Runners. For those of you who are listening or tuning in for the first time, this is something that I do time to time. Um, every season, I take it upon myself to go and connect with fellow runners, runners from RHWB, coaches beyond RHWB, runners beyond RHWB, just any good source of learning and knowledge that is connected to running. I take it upon myself to connect with them, talk to them, learn from them. And the idea being learning always happens from all directions. It's not just from the coach to the runners, it's also from runners to runners. And what better way than learning from our fellow runners who have done some incredible things over many seasons. It is in that within that logic, I have put together the next set of three incredible special guests to this program. All three of them I have personally coached multiple seasons, not just one season, multiple seasons, and I've seen them grow through various seasons. So it's with a lot of pleasure, and I would say even an honor, that I'm bringing them to all of you, and let's hear from them and let's understand what motivates them and how does that story unfold in their lives. So with that, let me invite the first guest. Please go ahead and why don't you give a little bit of an introduction about yourself?
Thanks, Bala. Hello, runners. My name is Shivananda Purnachandra. I know it's long, but let's keep it Shiva. I'm from a place called Mandya. It's between Bangalore and Mysore. And if you're traveling from Bangalore to Mysore, you have to pass my hometown. So I was born there. I went to initial schooling, elementary school. It's called St. John's. If anybody from Mandya, you can hook me up. High school, I did it in Bangalore. It's called Janaseva Vidya Kendra. So, and till 10th. And then plus two, 11th and 12th, I did it in Mysore, Marimalapas, if anybody from Mysore. I went to my undergrad at National Institute of Engineering, Mysore, part of University of Mysore. Anybody from NIE, let me know. Then I came to the United States in 2000 to do my master's program. I went to WVU, West Virginia University. I graduated from WVU, and I've been in Fairfax, Virginia area since then. Probably I would say around 18, close to 20 years now. I've worked for a company called Fannie Mae. I live here in Fairfax with my wife, Sukisani, Suhani, and Sana. All of them are part of Runners High Group. They have done a couple of seasons with them, and Suhani was 12 when she did her half marathon. Sana, she has the bragging rights in her family. She did her 10K when she was 8 years old. And my wife has done 10Ks and half marathon. This is my 5th season with RSWB. We'll talk about, I've done half marathon, 10Ks, full marathon, almost full marathon. Now I'm training for full marathon. So I've been an athlete since very young age, and we'll talk about who's my inspiration. I was a short sprinter, and I represented my school at district level, state level, and along the way, I think I pretty much ran till in my engineering days, and I won prizes even in engineering. So, and I played basketball for my school, high school, college as well, and I continued to play even after I came to grad school here. And I think, then I shifted to the long distance as I continued to, I realized that I'm not going to win any 100 meters, 200 meters. So that's my story here.
That's amazing, Shivananda Purnachandra.
Oh, wow, you remember.
I want to go the full marathon version and not the 5K version of the name, But it's pretty nice. Shiva, it's welcome to this podcast, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Beginning, there are a lot of folks, you should know, a lot of folks from Mysore.
Yeah.
Not just Bangalore, Mysore I'm talking about. Even in our own cohort, like our own cohort, as in Bala's cohort, there are, I think, 4 or 5 folks from Mysore.
Oh, so wow.
I'm sure they would be surprised to note that you have your roots in that area.
Mysore. Yeah.
And Fairfax, beautiful place right outside DC. So Ravi, I know that he's right now in DC. I don't know how you guys are like not catching hold of each other and having a drink right now. Maybe right after.
I know.
But that's awesome, man. And representing till the state level. Did you say the state level?
Yes, that's right.
Wow, that's fantastic. So you have your muscle memory intact. and it's
Yeah.
just bringing it back, which is exactly what we did. And we will talk about that shortly. Awesome, buddy. Welcome, and
Thank you.
let me welcome the next guest. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Coach Bala. Hi, everyone. And thank you, Shivananda Purnananda, right?
No, you didn't get it.
No, I didn't get it. Sorry.
Shiva.
It is. Shiva it is.
Yes.
Hello, runners. I'm Jyoti Checka. I was born in New Delhi, did my schooling in Andhra school, and then moved to Mumbai. Did my high school there at the Swami Vivekananda School. Was in Chembur. Then came to New York to do my undergrad degree. Then moved to, I was at St. John's University for 4 years, and then came to St. Louis. That's where I met my husband. Worked at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Missouri. And then we lived there for about 10 years, and then moved to Minnesota. And we've been here for 14 years now. So throughout my journey, I think from a work perspective, either my husband has been at Blue Cross or I have been at Blue Cross. When we were in Missouri, he was working with Blue Cross throughout those years. And then when we moved here, I've been with Blue Cross for the 14 years that we've been here. So it's one of us has to be part of the Blue. So as for my family, my husband, Jyoti Checka, he is a new recruit. He started last season. He started with a 10 mile, and then he actually upgraded to a half marathon and finished his half marathon. So he's really looking forward to actually his second season, and really, really excited. We have two daughters. Nidhi is a senior in college. She's in San Diego. And my younger one is a freshman in high school. So she's just busy with high school, just getting used to it. I did try to get her into running a little bit, but high school was a little too much for her. So she said, I will try running a little later. So I said, okay. As far as my running background, I would say that I was never really a runner. Never really, maybe I just might have taken part in maybe one race in my school that I can barely remember. But I really started walking, and with friends, I just started, and just for the sake of having fun, we joined a 5K. Then we said, if we can do a 5K, then let's do a 10K. Then we said, okay, if we can do a 10K, let's do a 10 mile. And then we basically just kept upping up our races. But that's really, truly how I kind of got into running and into this whole racing thing.
That's awesome. I mean, Delhi, Mumbai, New York. I mean, we have literally checkmarked all the key cities, and then Minnesota. So how is that working out, Jyoti? From after all these cities? That was a rhetorical question.
Okay, I'll not answer then.
Awesome, Jyoti. Welcome. I mean, it's been a pleasure seeing you grow, as well as coaching you for multiple seasons now. It's so glad to. I'm so glad to see that you're motivated your husband, and by all looks of it, Srini is a great addition to the team. I know that he enjoys what he does. I remember his sort of post-race write-up that he had sort of, with a lot of emotion he had written, if I remember it correctly. That just tells me that he's in for the long run. He's not a check the box activity he did last season.
No, he's not.
He really believed in, which is fantastic. So welcome. I can't wait to talk a little bit more about your sort of journey.
Yeah, actually, I've been here since season 3. So this is awesome.
6 seasons, 3 consecutive years of training. That's incredible. Sometimes we forget it. We go from season to season. Every 6 months gone, and that's like 6 months of training. So
exactly.
Awesome. Okay, let's invite the third guest. Please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. This is Ravi Gujar. I'm originally from Bombay. Yes, that sounds old, but yeah, that's what that's what it was called when I left it in '87. I did my undergrad from IIT Bombay, and then after that, I was not much of an athlete growing up. I grew up in Ville Parle area. If anyone on this distribution is from there, hi. So Ville Parle East, to be precise, it matters when it comes to Parle East versus West. Uh, Again, grew up without much of athletics or anything, a little bit cricket and badminton here and there. When I went to IIT, realized that I studied way too much, but didn't do anything. So started doing some mountaineering and all, and quickly realized that I really needed to start getting into running to develop the needed strength for hiking and all those kind of things. And that's where I got a little bit early into running. Never thought about long distance running or whatnot. That happened all later on. As far as more about me and my family, my wife Sandhya and I, we live right now in Dallas area. And we have two boys, Mihir 21 and Amai 17. Our boys are a little bit more athletic than I was growing up, and they have a lot more opportunity here. So both of them are into swimming, and Amai is into football. For me and Sandhya, running and getting introduced to Runner's High with Bala was from season 5, thanks to GV, our common friend. We'll talk more about that perhaps during this podcast. But for me, the biggest thing I would say, I needed some motivation, and that came from my wife, Sandhya. She could barely walk 100 meters without her feet giving her trouble in terms of some peculiar pain, etc. And with Runner's High with Bala, she managed to finish her half marathon. So she's absolutely my motivation, my North Star.
Beautiful. It's all our motivation, and Sandhya has been amazing in that. And you came to the US for education, or what was your sort of journey?
Oh, that is correct. That is correct. I came to the US for master's first. I went to Louisiana State University, finished my master's, and then completed my PhD at University of Wisconsin-Madison. So I know what you go through in Minnesota. I have lived that for 4-5 years.
Okay.
I'm glad that I'm not there.
Oh, my husband is from LSU, by the way.
Small
there
world.
There we go. A small
There
world.
you go. The connections begin. So, so Dr. Ravi, what is it that PhD you did on what?
My PhD was in optimization, stochastic optimization, trying to apply probability theory to manufacturing systems and modeling and all those kind of
operations, sort of
Yeah,
operations
operations
research.
research.
Yeah. Got it. Makes sense. Awesome, guys. That is, as you all know, as you all can see, we have a very diverse, client guests we have with diverse background, but with a common sort of platform that they all have come and connected with. And we will talk a little bit on that. So this time, let's start with Jyoti, because you already touched on how you started running. You said that you did a little bit of 5K, dabbled on a 5K, then suddenly that became a 10K and a 10 mile. So tell me, like, how did you get into running? How did you get into Runner's High?
So actually, I'll step back a little, Bala, because with as I mentioned, we have 2 daughters, right? So with my second pregnancy, when I was in my maternity leave, I was like, oh, wow, I have so much time, 6 weeks. I mean, what do I do? And we had just moved into a new home at that time. So I was like, guess what? I will paint the rooms. So I went out to Home Depot, picked up a 5-gallon. I was actually looking at like a 1-gallon or 2-gallon container, but then they're like, oh, if you get 5-gallon, it'll be cheaper. I said, okay, go for it. So I said, okay, let me go pick up the 5-gallon. So here I am, not even 2 weeks or 3 weeks after delivery. I'm picking up a 5-gallon paint container, and miraculously, I was able to actually get into the car. So I was like, wow, okay. But then when I was actually bringing it out of the car in the house, I just went like, phew. And then I did something and I was like, okay, I think something happened.
Oh, wow.
So I hurt my back. Um, it didn't really pay much attention to it. So I was like, oh, it'll go away, it'll go away. But then after like a year or two, it just kept building and building and building. And one day, I did my workout at work office, and then I had to see a friend. So I went to see her directly from office, and I sat down on the floor. And after like 15-20 minutes, I couldn't get up. I just was locked. I just was like completely locked, and I had to barely, I had to use furniture to drag myself from one room to another. I asked them for painkillers and everything. Long story short, I dragged myself home somehow or the other. For 3 days, I could not even get up. I was like bedridden. I couldn't even get myself to the urgent care to have them actually look at me. So that happened. And basically, once I got to the urgent care, they gave me painkillers. They said, it's nothing, it's just muscle pain, basically. So I said, okay, fine. But that was something that just kept happening. And after some time, I went for some treatment, got some shots to relieve the pain. And at that point, when I got the shot, I walked in holding on to my husband. But then when I walked out of the clinic, I was standing straight and I was like, I am never going to be in this situation again. This is it. And I made my decision on that day that whatever it is, I will do it. And in that journey, I tried swimming, I tried walking, I tried yoga, I tried everything. Somebody said that, hey, try this, I would do it. Somebody said, go for that one, I would do it. So literally, I mean, I just picked up anything and everything. And walking was one of the things that people said that, yep, you should start walking and see. So that's how actually I started walking. I started going out with friends, and just to keep it fun, we would sign up for these races. We were like, okay, yeah, this is for charity, let's do it. So we started doing the 5Ks, then 10Ks and all of that. Slowly, we just started building up. And then COVID hit. And I was like, okay, what do I do? And then I started getting bored. So I was like, okay, let me just go out and start walking. And I did a step challenge, and I started doing a half marathon. I was like, okay, let's do a half marathon. We were doing everything virtual. So did half marathon. And then I was like, okay, why not? Let's just do a full marathon. So I did the full marathon, which was virtual also. And I was like, I felt so good. And then at that time, my friend Sunita, Lava Sunita, she's a very good friend. We became friends in St. Louis. So she was actually one of the reasons why I met my husband as well. It's the friends group. And she mentioned that, hey, I'm part of this runner's high group, and do you want to join? I was like, oh my God, yes. Like I said, anything and everything. I was like, I'm jumping in. So I was like, please sign me up. But she was like, oh, you know what? Season 2 has already started. And I can't, we don't really join folks in the middle of the season. So you'll have to wait for the next season. I was like, oh my God, no, when is the next season? I mean, literally every week I would ask her, like, when is the season starting? When is the season starting? When is the registration opening? And so finally I got through for season 3, and yeah, rest is history. So it's
Wow.
just
Fascinating story. Fascinating. So audience, two things I wanted to let you know on this beautiful story. One is, never think just because you had an injury or an illness or some debilitating thing that your running career or your fitness career is finished. Never ever think like that, because I'm specifically calling that out because I see a lot of newcomers before joining. They would write to me and say, hey, I have this issue. I don't know whether I'll be able to do it. And I will tell them that, hey, everybody has some issue or the other, but you can make it. And I am like you, Jyoti. I had a huge lower back issue, L4, L5, L5, L6, slip disc
exact L3,
at the
L4
ripe
for
age
me.
of 22. In the when I was in the ship, I had an accident, and then you were there for 3 days. I was on the ship. That ship was 4 months sailing in the high seas, and I was all alone for 1 month, just stuck in the room. I didn't even see
Wow.
anybody. It was like almost like a prison because I couldn't move my head. I was
Wow.
lying down, and the waiters will come and give me food and time to time. But I won't be able to even move my head. I was lying down for 1 month because the ship was crossing the Pacific. So I couldn't even go to the hospital. I had the injury at the beginning of the port, and the ship just crossed the Pacific for 1 month. And then 1 month I was on the bed. The worst possible, like the lowest of the low of my entire life. And, so why I'm saying that is, from there to here, if me and Jyoti can do, everyone can do the same thing. It's just a question of just keeping at it and having the belief that you can do it. And as Jyoti beautifully said, she just didn't make the decision that, okay, I'll do something. She actively went and found out opportunities to go and do something. That is when things happen. Just making a decision alone is not going to help you. You have to go and follow through the decision. Fantastic, Jyoti. Great story. Shiva, what's your story, man?
So as I mentioned earlier, right, I was, I was running the short sprints throughout my elementary schools and the college. And I think, as I came to US and, and then I graduated and started working, it's like, I need to do something. Something was always there. I had to work out. Otherwise, I don't feel like something, I'm missing it. And I think I picked up from my dad early on. I never seen my dad miss a single day. In fact, he was crossing the road and he had met with an accident. He died. So even the last day as well, he never, missed it. No matter what, 4 o'clock, he used to get up, 5 o'clock, walk for 10 kilometers, do yoga, exercise, whatever. As he was getting old, he stopped doing that, but he was just walking. So that kind of stuck. And I think, I've done, 5Ks, 10Ks, 10 milers, all that. And I think I always had that, I want to do a marathon. It's like in a check mark, Bala, you said earlier, people come for check mark, but now I've changed. So I came for check mark, I'll do it. But I never had the platform to do it. I knew I could do it, just like, get up and, do it. But never had that motivation. Then I'm like, okay, what do I do? So then I started, I used to work out. Then I think it was in 2016, right after my dad thing. And I think, I was going down the life happens and picked up certain habits. And I was like, okay, then the doctor said, hey, you got to cut down your borderline diabetic, your parents had, everybody has, you need to do something. I said, then I kind of stuck in my head, either I'm going to win or the diabetes is going to win. Then I said, okay, I started working out. I used to work out, but on and off, like, three times, 4 times a week, but never regularly. But I started this journey till I came to Bala, RSWB, for 4 years. I never missed a single day, no matter what, wherever it is, whether it's the airport, whether it's your, what cold run, I just get up and go. That was my number one priority. So minimum 3 to 5 miles per day. Either gym, walk, run, do whatever, every single day. Now I recommend people not to do it. You need to rest, but we'll talk about that later. So that was my running and workout journey. I used to pick up basketball and coach my daughters. So this, again, as I said, I picked up certain habits, and I was introduced to RSW by my good friend Ajit, and he was introduced by his wife's cousin, Julie, I believe. I forget the name. So Ajit joined season 3 and he finished it. I'm like, Ajit never went for any workout. I know him. So he said he did it. And then we went for, summer break to the beach, and it's like, hey, do you want to run with me? You can give me a company. He was doing half marathon. Give me company 4 or 5 miles, and I couldn't do it. I always thought that I could do it because I've done 10Ks and 10 milers and good timing, and I couldn't do it. Then I made the decision that it was already season was in progress, no opening. Then the other inspiration came is when his son, who was 14 at the time, Arnav, did the half marathon as well. I was like, zapped, I got to do something. Then I immediately signed up, and I think I signed up for season 5. And I'm very thankful for Ajit and to introduce to this group. And I never looked back since. And whatever the habit I picked up, I quit, and I've kind of I enjoy this journey, and I continue to enjoy this journey so far.
Awesome. It looks like it's your own sort of sweet dedication to your father. by just continuing to do for 4 years or 3 years, whatever you mentioned. It's like, that's the power of motivation, right? It's the power of inspiration, rather. Someone like a father figure, when he does that, even he doesn't have to tell you. You just, it's ingrained in your sort of heart.
I think that you're absolutely right. I mean, he never told me single day, hey, you need to work out, you need to go pick up. And I'm also the same belief is that, I need to show and exhibit those behaviors so my kids or some whoever, get inspired and they pick up and do it. Right. It's, you act, you said it right. It's you just do it and you inspire. You don't know, right? People who are following you or not, but it will be somewhere, somehow it will hit them.
Yes, doing is the strongest form of inspiration for others. When you do it, then this podcast is on the same lines. We are learning how you do, so that when others hear, they get inspired. So that's an awesome story, Shiva. Really, congratulations on, again, this one thing that's common between you and Jyoti already is that once you put your mind to something, you don't need others to motivate you. You guys are self-motivated. That's why she went and did a full marathon herself, just like that. And that's why you did 4 years or whatever, continuous, without any sort of immediate, when somebody needs to be self-motivated, I've read somewhere that, those folks who are self-motivated, they don't look for, what is the right word? Like immediate gratification. What's the right word for it? Like a quick gratification.
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification. Yeah, that's the right word. So people who do not want instant gratification are the folks who are self-motivated for a long time, so that's like inversely proportional. And the people who are self-motivated normally achieve great things because they don't do it for instant gratification. They just do it because they're just motivated to do it. And normally it just builds up. So it's very common, the two of you. Ravi, what's your story, buddy?
As I mentioned, I was not an athletic person growing up, never really ventured into that side. When I was in my undergrad at IIT Bombay, started doing hiking a little bit and then started running around a little bit. And by the time I left IIT, I could do 5K without any problem and in reasonable time. I was not into getting into many 5K runs, etc. But I picked up the habit that 3 miles, 2-3 times a week is a good thing, kind of a thing. And that was about it. Then when I came to Dallas in '96, I started talking to some friends, and one of the friends who used to run many long distance half marathons, I just was completely taken aback. How could anyone run that much? And then I started looking online and like, oh, okay, so he's not completely crazy. There are quite a few folks who do that. And in the over period of time, I said, like, before I turn 50, I want to do half marathon. So that was kind of a checkpoint, kind of a thing I went in for. And I got scheduled from him for half marathon. He gave me 12-week kind of a schedule. I said, fine, started following it. Because I was used to do up to 3 miles. It was okay. He had given me those ups and downs kind of a thing, sawtooth kind of a schedule. And I did my first half marathon. And that felt very good and reasonable, comfortable. I wasn't exactly bothered. So I was like, why don't I do this more often? But then consulting job and other things took on. But again, the next year I again managed. So first half marathon before turning 50. The next 3 years, I did 3 half marathons. And then I was preparing for my 5th one. And by this time, I picked up lots of bad habits in terms of how my foot should land. I was reading up all the wrong things. And like somewhere I read that I should land on my toes. It will give me better speed or whatnot. And long distance, you're trying to land on your toes. It takes its toll, right?
Absolutely.
So I landed up getting stress fracture that year because just 4 weeks before that half marathon, I was like, man, this is crazy. I'm just not able to do it. And then had that break for about 10, 12 weeks. And again, started getting back into this one. And this time I did more reading and started monitoring my heart rate. And my heart rate was crazy high. And then it's like, dude, you're too old. Like you just missed the boat completely. Start walking. So Sandhya and I started walking like, okay, now we are getting old kind of mode, right? So I bumped into our common friend GV Ganesh in one of the parties, and GV and I had run half marathons in Dallas together. And GV said, like, what? You stopped? I said, yeah, man, my heart rate is too high. No, you need training. I said, like, no, man, my heart rate can't sustain. It's like, oh, I got this program, Ravi, try it. And thanks to him and Bala, they let me in, even though I was a little late for that registration. That's how I got into season 5. And I still vividly remember, Bala's first for half marathon was whatever, half mile and a half or something like that. And I ran that and I wrote to Bala, my heart rate is too high. And he wrote back in caps, slow down. Okay, I'm like, dude, I'm already doing such a slow speed, but it's high. And I was trying to figure out where it fits in. And slowly I got that. And that season was, of course, wonderful. I motivated a couple of friends and found a running buddy who was not registered, but he did the half marathon as well. And then the next marathon, next season, I wrote to Bala, it's like, hey, I did half marathon. It was okay. Do you think I can do full? And Bala, with the fountain of energy that he is, he said, of course, you're ready. I'm like, is he pulling my leg or FM?
Was that in full caps?
I should go back and look up that one. So I told Sandhya, coach is saying that I'm ready. She looked at me. Yeah, it's Bala. You want to try? Otherwise, what else? You can always do half, right? And that's how the journey started. And man, that was something that getting into full really changed my perspective on too many things there, because half is okay. I know that quite a few people are doing half, but half is okay. Full is where you get to know yourself, okay, what you are, what you want to be, kind of a thing. So take it from the old man. Yeah, you can do it.
No, those are beautiful words, Ravi. I think, and it's a thought that I concur as well. One can wing a half marathon, like just somehow go and make it happen. But I don't think so. You can go and somehow make a full marathon happen, even though Jyoti did it.
Yeah.
But there are very few people who can just go and just like that go and figure out and do a full marathon without some bodily injury or some extreme pain, mental and physical, because full marathon is something you better train properly. And you are right. When you do a full marathon, you know who you are. The true character will actually come out, because full marathon is more mental than physical. Yeah. And it's about mental strength. And that's what we will talk a little bit also in this podcast. So Shiva, if you think about the early stages of your training, and why don't we even talk about the full training regimen, 16 weeks, talk about the early days and some highlights and lowlights. We can combine those two together and, give me your thoughts. Give us your thoughts.
All right. So I have multiple actually. So I'm just going to summarize. I'll pick each one. Each season was unique. So the first season I joined in January of season 5, and I think I started, and guess what? I was so determined, and even in the cold, I remember I used to go run this is pre-season, the 2 weeks warm-up period. I was very religious and working out. I signed up for a half marathon. My daughter signed up for a half. I said Martin Luther King got hit with COVID, so no medicine, nothing. The whole family, and I still remember Bala. I don't think you remember, but he used to send me a bunch of books. Why don't you read this? Why don't you listen to this? You'll be fine. I was literally scared that I'm going to die because there is no medicine, and I used to get
this
up.
This was the early stages of
early
COVID, right?
stages of COVID. Then I think what something hit me was my daughter was Suhani, older one was 12. She said, I didn't do the training for 1 month. Then Bala also was very careful. And I think, science was not developed yet, right? It's like, hey, take it easy. If you don't want to do it, you can do 10K, take it slow. You can always come back. This is not end of the world. I was disappointed and I was very motivated. So I think around end of Feb or March, my old daughter comes in. It's like, come, I think you're fine now. Let's go for a run. I'm like, are you sure you want to run? He said, come, Papa, let's do it. So that kind of, bulb went up. It's like, if she can do, why can't I do? So that's where I came back and I told Bala that, hey, I'm going to continue to do the half marathon. He said, are you sure? I said, no, I'll do it. And my wife downgraded to 10K. A rest of the other friends who got COVID, they also downgraded. So that was, I think, by the time I finished that was, to me, the first marathon. I never did more than 10 miles. And I think that half marathon will always going to be something special, and I'll cherish that doing with your own daughter. Some reason I always had that vision in my mind ever since the day she was born. I'm going to run with her. So to achieve that was, nobody can take that. Even though I didn't do it, it's all virtual. I did it in Virginia. That's something special. It's going to stay forever. And I think the learning, I remember one key learning is that she used to come and cry, I cannot do it. I was like a regimented soldier. It's like, no, you can do it. Keep pushing. She got a lot of credits, and I think Bala did a podcast with her, and people recognize, wow, 12 years, my family, my wife's family, everybody, my friend circle, everybody was like praising, wow, you did great. So I think the lesson there for her was, she said, nobody noticed what I was training. And just you and me, I used to cry, but still I was able to finish it. I said, in life, that's all the same thing. The effort is what nobody, it's what you do. Everybody recognizes the results, but effort is what make you get to the result. I think that, still resonates very well with me and her as well.
Yep.
And the season 2, quickly, I did the 10K because the younger one wanted to do it, 8K. She was 8 years old. I did that. I did it. I enjoy. Of course, whenever she listens to this podcast, she's going to kill me because I'm not putting much emphasis. It's 10K. Yes, I've done half marathon, but I think it was a different story. I got to listen to her school stories every single day with the training. That was that was a different kind. Last season, season 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, I forget, sorry, 7, I believe. So that's when I signed up for full marathon, and I think I was mentally ready, I was physically ready, and I started the training, never missed anything, and I think Bala gave the early indications earlier, I think. So I completed all MISO 1, MISO 2, MISO 3. I did 19 miles. And it's just 2 weeks away from the finish line I was excited, nervous. I'm going to finish my marathon. Hey, I got to do this. So I was discovered the medical conditions, kidney stones, and I didn't know what was happening. And I had to go to the ER, and the doctor there says is that why you have to run. This is why we invented something called, we have the 4 wheels. You just go, why you have to do this? It's not for everybody. I was so disappointed. I was dejected, and I was completely, I didn't want to look at any of the messages from Runner's High. I didn't touch. It was, I think the lowest point in my thing that Bala, you asked was that, because it took me at least a month or two to come to terms with it, because I'd worked really hard. Never missed any workouts. I was, I was on high, truly runner's high. And I was this close to making plans and go run in New Jersey, and it didn't happen. And then I think went through the surgery, whatever that we had to get the medical procedures, get back, recovery. Then I think the season 8 opened up, and I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And everybody, my wife and my family, are you crazy? You just got back from this injury and the condition. You don't have to. Then I met with my doctor. He said, yeah, you can do it. Nothing is going to stop. And just, he advised, hydrate yourself as much as possible. That was last season. I think I didn't train, to be honest with you, as well I was in previous season. But I finished my first marathon last season with fellow RSWV runners in Baltimore, and I think that's going to be the sweetest. That's my high point. First one is that's I would rank the first half marathon versus the marathon, but I think I completed my first marathon there. Both are two actually, highs for me. First half marathon and first marathon, and now I'm back again. It looks like it's contagious.
That's what a story, Shiva. See, this is the story of resilience, guys. Okay. If the path to a full marathon start line, forget about the finish line. If the path to the full marathon start line was that easy, then everybody would have been a full marathoner by now. Yeah. It's only 1 or 2%. I think it's less than 1% of athletes who have completed a full marathon. And that's because of this. There is a lot of things that needs to be in place, fall into place. And that's why focusing on the process, focusing on that effort that you were mentioning, Shiva, is more important than just focusing on, just somehow get to the finish line. I mean, just listen to that story. Early days of COVID, and I must tell you, Shiva, you are one of the first, I think you're the first RHWB runner to get COVID. Because it was the first few, just like 2, 3, 4 weeks after the COVID thing came out. And I myself was like, it was a shocking sort of turn of news that one of my runner, and then I remember I used to ping you almost every day because the entire family was down. It's not just him. And they were starting beautifully. So COVID, that scare, come back, do it again, come back. Then phenomenal training, mile 19, finished. That means you are almost done with the training program. Almost like start line is just there. You can see the start line. And then boom, that entire season is gone. These are things that teaches you resilience. These are things that builds character. Like what Ravi was talking about. When you do a full marathon, you learn about yourself.
I totally agree.
Right? This is when you learn about yourself that, life, if everything is successful, just because you put in the effort, it's not necessary you need to get the outcome. You can work your rear end off and you will still not get promoted, and somebody who's sitting right next to you will get promoted. That is life. You better suck it up and, keep doing the effort again and again. That's really what marathon teaches you. And Shiva is a great example. And he's one of our most dedicated runners. I love coaching you, Shiva, because of those experiences that you have. You enjoy the good times because you've seen the bad times, Only when you see the bad times, you really enjoy the good times, when you can just put on the shoe and go for a run without any pain. Wow, what a beautiful experience that is. Awesome, Shiva. So let's go to Jyoti. What are your thoughts? Some highs, lows, early days of running?
I think once I joined the Runners High, I was not really paying a lot of attention to nutrition. Like you said, right, that, half marathon and all of that stuff, you're okay, you can wing it. But then full marathon is when things really show. It tells you what's going on, shows you who's the boss, right? So for me, with my second full marathon, my low point was I was almost done, 22 miles almost, or 23 miles almost. I was almost there, and then cramps started.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that I had ever experienced cramps. So I was like, what is going on? My whole body was like, in shock almost, to a point that this was again still virtual. I was doing the Grandma's marathon in Minnesota. So I could not move. So I just literally sat on the side of the trail, and people are walking past me, and they're like, what's going on? It's almost the image of a peddler in India, like they're sitting on the floor. It was literally sitting on the floor. And a few folks, okay, they just went past me. But then there was this one lady who stopped, and she was like, what's going on? Are you okay? And all that. And I said, no, I'm fine. I just have cramps. So I'm just waiting it out. So she was actually an occupational therapist. And she was like, when you're doing these kinds of things, you have to strengthen, not just before the run or after the run. You actually have to, stretch in the middle of the run as well. So after every 5 or 10 miles, try to make sure you take a break, and then you stretch your muscles out. and everything. So she gave me that advice, and then I told her that my husband is on the way, so he'll take care of me, so you don't have to worry about and staying with me and all that stuff. So she left, but then I think at that time it was hydration. I was not drinking enough. I was not electrolytes and all of that stuff. I was not paying attention to any of that stuff. So that was one of my low points in life, where I was like literally just sitting on the floor going, somebody help me. But and then the other, so learning from this, I think was my last marathon, which was the fourth one. I went to the race. At the beginning of the race, I was like, okay, they usually have electrolytes, right? They have Powerade or Gatorade. So in the past marathons and the races, they've had Gatorade. So I was like, okay, I'll get Gatorade there. I just have to, go with my my goose and all of the rest of the stuff. So I had all my all of that stuff packed up and everything. But then I get there, they're like, yeah, we have no. And last time when I was on the Grandma's Marathon, I had tried no for the first time. And again, I know you keep saying don't try things on your race day, So that was a mistake. So I was like, that came into my head. I was like, no, I'm not trying no, because I've not trained my body to get used to no. So I'm used to Gatorade and everything. So I was like, so I sent my husband, I called my husband, and he had just finished his 10-mile race. So we were both in the same race, but he was signed up for the 10-mile and I had signed up for the full one. So poor thing, he finishes his race and he's like, oh, you need Gatorade. So poor thing, he just grabs his medal and then runs to the deli and brings me this drink.
Oh, wow.
And he's trying to catch me. He's like, where are you? Where are you? So I was like, that there were a couple of, I would call them rookie mistakes, that you need to be aware of what exactly you'll be getting in the race. You need to be good with your nutrition. You have to stretch during the middle of the race and not just the beginning and the end. So those are some of the learnings that I have learned during these few ones that I've gone through. So yeah.
That's awesome. So guys, it's a one good golden nugget here. So this experiential learning comes in two forms. One is when you experience it, you learn. Like, everybody says nutrition is important. You don't give a damn about it. And then get bonked at mile 20 and then you realize, holy shit, yeah, I should have listened to this. That's experiencing. You're experiencing it yourself. And then you learn, which is not bad, which is definitely good. But a better form of learning is learning from others' experience. Like others have experienced it. And as a result, they're telling you. And that's what a coach's job is. Coach's job is not as if coach is the world's best runner. Coach is just able to provide learning from other people's experience and telling you, hey, you know what, you should do this. So this is a great opportunity for listeners that there is a method to this madness here, guys. While this is not rocket science, but you need to know that sometimes things that are most easy to follow are the ones that are least followed. And people typically go from learning from others' experiences to experience it and then learn it. So you need to make a decision. Learning has to happen. Without learning, you're not finishing the full marathon. Let me tell you, I'm talking about finishing full marathon with a smile. That's what we are looking for. And, in this one, there is a beautiful, my coach used to say that every full marathoner, in fact, I would say every long distance running, you need to take about 100 units of pain over the season. You have to take 100 units of pain for you to get to when I say pain, let's call it discomfort, all that good stuff. Now, the question is, do you want to sort of spread that pain over 16 weeks? A good portion of it. Let's say you spread the 60 units of that pain over a good 16 week, like 10 or whatever, and then use the remaining 40 on the race. Or you want to ignore everything and only spread the 20 units over the 16 weeks and experience the 80 units during the race. where do you want to do it? So there is no running away from 100 units of discomfort and pain. So it's up to you to figure it out. How do you sort of divide this? So if you're well trained, you're focused on nutrition, you follow some of the things that are being told to you, what you're really doing is you're taking out the 80 out of 100 units and spreading it over 16 weeks. So that come race day, you are ready. You've already done how to take a noon. You've sort of practiced your body to take new things so that you don't try anything new, so that you're not adding additional pain. All those extra pains, you've taken it during long runs so that your body is ready. So you come there, 20 units of pain, boom, you finish with a smile. If you ignore all of this, come race day, you will have all the pain that you have to experience or the discomfort and still finish. So the choice is yours. My suggestion as your coach is why you want to take a difficult path when we are giving you easy, beautiful, easily biteable chunks to just giving it to you in a platter. We're giving it in a platter. All you have to do is the horse has to come down and drink water. In fact, we actually open the horse's mouth and pour the water into the mouth. All the horse need to do is just gulp it in.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do. Okay, Ravi,
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that analogy as well. I think that's what personally made difference for me when I was back for my half and this one. In terms of the low point, I think it was, as I mentioned, passingly mentioned, I had almost a stress fracture because I was landing improperly, etc., in overall running career so far. And that's when I kind of decided that I want to do long distance running, but no injury. So I've been always paying attention to all these subtle things. Hey, you got to stretch, you got to warm up, you got to do dynamic stretching, things like that. So take those things seriously. Part of discovering yourself is that I realized that I'm very sensitive to running in direct sunlight and the temperature. Nothing that I can control, especially on the race day, but that's what it is, that I need to then prepare with enough hydration and keep myself going before and during the race. So that was one thing that I kind of a downside that I had in my second half marathon. It was Irving Marathon. That's in late March timeframe. By that time, it gets pretty warm here in Dallas. And when we are running, we started with 60 and bright sunny day. And by the time we are ending, and I'm a slow runner, so I had 5+ hours, almost 6 hours there. And it was in mid 70s. So it was too warm. And last 4 miles was absolutely a long stretch. And that's where many of these things came into play. Your family being there cheering for you, your friends coming there, it's like, hey, only 3 miles left, go for it, and all those kind of little things started mattering a lot more in that last stretch. In terms of my highs, I would say the recent one, the Dallas Marathon that I did in December, that was fantastic. First of all, it was a completely cloudy day, started at high 40s and didn't go beyond low 50s. So perfect running day, at least for me. And even though Dallas Marathon has got a lot of ups and downs, it was fantastic. Again, the call from Renu at the mile 22, 23 was perfect. That's what I needed, because that's when I was completely draining out and I needed someone to tell me like, hey, finish. You've been doing so well so far, you can finish it. And I got my PR there. So those little things go a long way. And I would say hydration and having that necessary strength, that things around your knee, at least for me, did not trouble me for first 9 miles or first 18 miles. After 18 miles, it started showing you, you needed more strength in these parts of your body.
Absolutely. So how many marathons you have completed, Ravi? And what's your PR?
My marathons, 3 marathons I completed. 1 was virtual, 2 were actual races. Virtual was, of course, during COVID days. And my last PR was about 15 minutes or something like that I shaved off. So I was very thrilled with that particular one. I had chance for even bigger chunk to take out, but now I know I need to work harder after mile 20. So yeah.
That's awesome. And you're training for your 4th full marathon. How crazy is that?
Yes. I thought I was going to hang my hat after 3, and here I am.
You
It's an
can't.
addiction, man. It's an addiction.
You get
It's a
sucked
good
in.
addiction. What about you, Jyoti? How many full marathons you've done, and what's your PR?
So I've done 4. 2 of them were virtual, and then 2 were in-person race days. I'm also a slow runner, so 6 hours and 15 minutes is my.
Fantastic. I mean, there's nothing called slow runner, okay? Unless you're Kipchoge, there's always somebody who is faster than
That
you.
is true.
There's actually, I keep joking with anybody and everybody who asks me about my PR, because I keep telling them I actually strive to be the last one. I want to make sure, because when you're the last one, I feel like a queen, because there's a school bus behind me, there's an ambulance behind me, and there's a police cop car right behind me, to make sure that if anything happens to me, they are right there to take me and pick me up and go. So
I mean, 4 full marathons, training for the 5th one is no ordinary thing. What about you, Shiva? I know you finished your first, you're training for your second one. How was
So
your first one? How long it took for you to finish your first one?
Your first one, I think 5 hours, 12 minutes, 12 minutes a mile. I mean, I wanted to get it, the goal was to 5 hours, 30 minutes. But I'm happy with,
course.
5:15. So,
Of course. So guys, in RSWB, for whatever reason, race distances have gotten depreciated quite a bit. People complete, there used to be a time when, I was around people who used to throw a party because they finished at 10K. I'm talking about not so distant in the future. I'm talking in the past, I'm talking about 2, 3, 4 years ago, max. Then 10K got devalued for whatever reason. Maybe everybody is upgrading their distance. And then half marathon was that thing. Now full marathon, half marathon got devalued and nobody throws a party, then became full marathon. Now buggers are finishing 4, 5, and they're not even I finished 5, but you know what? I missed the PR by a few minutes. Guys, you finished 4 full marathons. It's a huge deal. It's a really, really huge deal, guys. That's a good sign. That's a good sign that all of us are collectively getting healthier. We are growing every year, adding one extra birthday, but actually we are getting faster, fitter, farther, as our season tagline suggests. Phenomenal, incredible. So let's bring the podcast home. Let's go start with maybe Ravi, and then we go to Jyoti and then Shiva.
Yeah.
Lots of 150 new runners this season. That itself is an incredible stat, as we all know. Most of them have come up with a couple of thoughts. One, they don't know why they got in. They're highly unsure why they got in, and then they're slowly getting their feet wet. Now that the first meso is done, they're beginning to see some, oh my God, yeah, I can do this. That is where they are, many of them. That is one category of the newcomers. Second category of newcomers is they are reinventing themselves, like someone like Shiva, university level sort of runners or more, better, and then life happened, nothing happened after that, and suddenly they fell into this group, and now they're reinventing themselves. The muscle memory is kicking in. There is a distinct group, that I know that out of the 250 odd newcomers. Then there is a third group that they were runners, but they did it in the wrong way, which probably, I would say Ravi and Jyoti, you are in that category, right? Where you just did it. And now you are saying, oh my God, I never thought about my heart rate. And now I know why I was finding it difficult. So they are also reinventing themselves in a different way. That I know there is a bunch of folks like that. In fact, in our own cohort, full marathon cohort, there are some unbelievable runners who are sub 4 kind of runners for full marathon, but they've been doing it on their own and they feel even more energized. So that's the group, Ravi and Jyoti and Shiva. So what words of advice you have for them as senior runners, high runners?
Well, first and foremost, I'm just not ready to call myself a senior runner yet, but I'll take it. I'll tell you what I find in terms of different from season to season, how things are going, including what's happening this season, right? Every season, you find that things change, something clicks differently. First season, I'll be extremely honest, all those strength training exercises were in Bala's name. Oh, I'm doing this for coach. Coach told me to do so. It was never for me. From season 2 onwards, I said like, oh, my leg is hurting, knee is hurting, and that muscles exercise is helping me. So over a period of time, for me, what matters the most out of training, overall training, of course, the scope in which it goes, it ramps up, comes down, ramps up again, things like that. But along with that, the discipline that you have to have in terms of your hydration, that is daily, that is weekly. And I can see the difference in my weekend runs, depending on how my week has been in terms of my eating habits, my hydration and drinking habits, lack of thereof, and all those kind of things. And most importantly, I would say the strength training. Strength training is kind of a little bit of a lagging thing. You start getting into serious strength training and just pay attention to the number of reps, etc., that are suggested to you. And within 4 weeks, I could feel the difference. Within 4 weeks, I could see that, oh my goodness, I'm able to do that. I'm able to hold 2 miles of faster pace run without really getting out of my heart rate range. That never happened for me before. And that was kind of aha moment. And again, that's not just only strength training, hydration, eating right, all those kind of things. So you pick up these habits and you know what the right habits are. It's just right things are. Making them habits is something that you need to train towards. Absolutely. And yeah, that's what is, touch wood, is something that's kicking in. And if it can happen for me at this age, so to say, many of you are much, much younger than I am, and you have been athletic, or you have got a lot more strength than I do. It can absolutely happen for you. So that's all I would say, that get these 4-5 right habits there, inculcate those and incorporate those into your training. You're good. You're golden.
Beautiful, golden words. And by the way, Ravi, you are like, probably in your life, you've never been as fit as what you are right now.
Correct. Absolutely.
So there's no age here now. You are like a 30. Right now, your strength and everything is age 30. You should note that, because it's the same for me. I'm sure it's the same for you as well. Jyoti, what about you? Few words of advice.
Everything that Ravi said, right? Discipline, strength training, make sure you're not discounting the strength training. I think that's one of the first things that I had to learn and force myself to do, was strength training. And also, with the cramps happening situation in my second marathon, in the third marathon, I remember that the moment I hit 22 mile and I could feel my calves just tweaking a little bit, I just stopped, went to the side. I did my Surya Namaskar. Everybody's watching what's going on here. But I was like, I don't care what you want to think. I'm doing my Surya Namaskar because I need to stretch my legs. And, I did that. And then actually the last 3 miles, I was just running like you suggest, right? Like the last 3 miles, go for it. Yeah. Go with all your energy. So literally I ended up doing that. So strength training is important. It's very, very important. Nutrition, again, right? Important. Make sure that you are not only just doing your electrolytes, but salts. That's a big thing. But most of all, I would say, have fun. Have fun with your runs. Because with me, I know that if it becomes a chore, I am not going to be in it for not the next season. I know that. The moment it becomes a chore, I start to find ways to not do it, actually. So make it fun. I used to actually end up turning on my YouTube favorite movie on the YouTube and just run, because I know all the scenes, right? I just have to listen to it.
Absolutely. These are all good ideas, guys. Totally agree.
But
Jyoti.
yeah, make it fun. Find a way to make it fun. I know that Suja had mentioned Libby library audiobooks. And I know Raghu, I think, had mentioned changing up your music, all of those things, just make it fun. Somehow or the other, figure it out and make it fun. So, and then you'll be in it for the long haul.
Totally. And then once you get into the long haul, you realize that now you're not running and training for a full marathon. Full marathon is just a means to a larger end,
Yes.
which is having a full, enriched, inspirational to others life, where you fitness improves, your mental fitness improves. There's a lot of things that happens. That's the
You go
zone.
into that meditative state, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the zone most senior runners are. The zone the senior runners are not that they can go and crack a Boston Marathon qualifying. That is, I would say, silly things that, okay, everybody will do, PRs and such, but how long you can hit a PR? Right? You can't have PRs on every race. Otherwise, we'll all become Kipchoge, right? We'll all keep on improving PR. Then after 20 full marathons, we all are BQ. At some point, you won't be able to hit the PR. We know that. But still people do it, not for PRs. So if you look at senior runners, I'm talking about people who have done like 10 years of running, continuous running. When you go and talk to them, right, they don't talk about PR, they don't talk about races, they just talk about the experience, that's it. And they just want to take this as a flow of life flow, and they feel great about it. They love the runners high, they love meeting other runners, etc., etc. So guys, one thing I wanted to say as a good opportune moment to drive one learning, which is Jyoti mentioned about cramps and she mentioned about salt. Now, stretching is one side of the story. Now, salt or the lack of it is a fundamental driver for cramps during long runs. Now, this is something that I will stress more and more as the long distances of long runs increases. But the philosophy or the science behind it is that as salt content in your body reduces, which happens because as you sweat and as you run, you lose a lot of salt. And if you do not replenish it, the electrical impulse that is coming from the brain to the muscles, that is going from one nerve cell to another nerve cell, that think of it as that electrical impulse is not flowing through properly to the muscles because of the salt deficiency in the system. Because the signals are not flowing properly to the muscles, literally what is happening is that muscles are not following the order of the brain. So the feedback from the muscle is not enough back to the brain. It's saying that, oh my God, I asked you to do X, you're only doing X by 4. So what it does is it increases the signal intensity back to the muscles. But unfortunately, it is not that always the signal intensity is halved. Sometimes it is full, sometimes it is half. So really from a muscle standpoint, sometimes you get 2x the signal, sometimes you get 1/4 the signal. So as a result, muscle gets, when it gets 2x the signal, it starts like really activating itself. And when it gets 1/4 signal, it doesn't activate. But when it gets the 2x the signal, that extra activation is cramp. The cramps is essentially muscle goes into overdrive. When it goes into overdrive, it gets stretched too much and it stays stretched. And when that happens, cramps is what you experience. So the science behind it is it's the salt or the lack of salt in your body that causes, and that is why you will see cramps doesn't happen when you're in mile 5 or 7. It happens after mile 20 because the salt deficiency has sort of enhanced, you have lost salt. So that's why you need to start taking salt tablets as well. We will start talking about it, especially in long runs, full marathoners, post 15 miles is when you need to take salt tablets now in mile 10, mile 9, so that you never lose the deficiency of salt through the run. So it's a great point. I want all of you to sort of keep that in mind. We'll talk about it, especially full marathoners. Shiva.
Yeah, all right. I want to hit a couple things. So the first thing, my mantra is keep it going. Don't overthink. Just get up and just do it. And I think we always think that, hey, I want to run. Every day is not going to be Monday. Some days you really don't want to run. Trust me, I don't want to run. I'd rather sleep. But make a commitment. Just get up and go. Don't think. Even if it's slow, it's okay. And the key is to get up and follow what's there for your day. The second one is, if you're not listening to the podcast, if somebody that they're not listening to the podcast, I highly recommend for folks to listen. I was one of those guys, who the heck is going to listen to this an hour, 30 minutes? Oh my God, they're going to talk. But trust me, I mean, it is a life-changing thing for me personally, because what I learned from these discussions, the podcast, not only for running, you know, I have applied for my own personal life challenges, and you know, whether navigating through the work, navigating through the friend, a lot of things, right? Listen, if you somebody don't, you know, they don't know, ask them to listen, share that with others. And I think these are what you get out of this is you're not going to get anywhere. The last but not least is, remember always, you're making an impact for hundreds or hundreds of other people who are not part of this running group, you know, directly or indirectly, because you are leading by example. So remember that. I mean, you know, when you're down, when you're, you know, you don't want to do it, but remember that you are making an impact. I think those are three things that I want to share. Rest is, you know, follow all of that. It's good.
Beautiful.
That's my observation.
Beautiful, inspirational words, Shiva. That was very, very nice of you to say that. Ravi, Jyoti, Shiva, boy, 1 hour went by rather quickly. Sorry. Thank you for all your thoughts. There is a reason why you guys are who you are. Every day is a learning day for you guys. And it's absolutely incredible. Sorry, my throat. Absolute. Disha, can you get me some water, please? Absolutely incredible to sort of hear your stories and learn from you. Thank you for your time. Can't wait to publish this podcast, and I'm sure all of us will enjoy listening and learning from you. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.